Ohio. Wieliczka, the city in Poland, enters Lesser Poland Voivodeship, Wieliczki County. Has the status of a Grodzko-rural gmina. Occupies the space of 13.41 km. The population -23849 people. For 2019. The first traces of extraction of salt belong to the 9th century. Then the first saltums extracting salty water from springs were constructed. The people from the Celtic tribes who later are forced out by Slavs were the first settlers. The value of fields strongly grew after transfer of the capital to Krakow at Kazimierz I Wostanowitel's will. Sultans brought a large income which was necessary for the prince for keeping of army and restoration of the country. Further development of the settlement was strongly interfered by Mongolo-Tatar invasion, as a result of which Krakow and its vicinities was destroyed. From the middle of the 13th century, extraction of salt was based on boiling down of salt from salty water. After springs began to run low, people began to dig wells and to extract salty water from them. In 1252 the fields of rock salt were found and their direct production from under the earth has begun. In 1289 Heinrich Przewiedni, the Prince of Krakow of the time, issued the decree allowing brothers Asko and Isenboldu to found the city in this place. In 1290 Przemysl II Wieliczka officially gave the status of the city.
Look, history in Wieliczka, which from the very beginning served as the administrative center of the Krakow salt factory and Wieliczka salt mines, and also Bochnia, goes back to the 13th century.
Income from the salt plants throughout many centuries was one of the main sources of income of the Polish economy. In the 14th century he gave a third of all revenues of the state treasury.
In the 16th century tourist interest in Wieliczka, thanks to emergence of a possibility of visit of mines, grew. Interest in the world and aspiration in knowledge at the time of Renaissance attracted in minds of travelers who wanted to see a travel to the center of earth. And Vladimir II's friend territorial expansion of the city, Jagiellonov, who proceeded at the time of late, began.
The ethnic structure of the city became more uniform because of replacement of Germans with Poles at this time. In the 16th century shops, which by the beginning of the next century there were 14, began to appear.
At peak of the development the city became the largest industrial center of the country. Since 1556 in Wieliczka Privilegium de non-tolerandis Judaeis began to work.
In 1311, during Vladislav Lokic's government, the acting as Void Gessler de Kalpin joined Void Albert's revolt. After suppression of a revolt, Void ran to Silesia, where he served as a head Wieliczki. Earlier the German miners lodged in Wieliczka, that led to replacement of Latin by German. After falling of a revolt, the king noticed the growing threat of Germanization and returned Latin. During Kazimierz Wielki's government the city promptly developed. Around the city walls were constructed.
In Wieliczka there was Żupna's log, also the city economy developed.
Nikolai Veriniak founded hospital and a shelter for the homeless. In 1651 in the city epidemic which strongly reduced population began. During the Swedish flood. 1655-1660. The city economy fell into decay. In spite of the fact that in Wieliczka there were no fights, it is burned and plundered. The Swedish troops took control over the mine and collected taxes on local population. Gabriel Wojnalowicz and Hedgehogs Lubomirski brought together a group approximately from 300 people which participated in Wieliczka, Bochnia and Wisnicz's release. Decisive fight happened in Kamiana in whom Poles won a victory. After the victory in the Vienna fight, development of the city accelerated a little. In the downtown under Decree 3 of Yang the bell tower was founded. On June 9, 1772, according to the contract on the first section to Poland, Wieliczka was taken under control by the Austrian troops. In 1809 it was included in structure of the Warsaw Duchy.
In 1815, on result of the Vienna Congress, returned under control Gabsbergov, and it was attached to Galicia under the name Gro.
Salz. From German, Great Salt.
At this time in the city, unemployment because the Austrians brought on the mine the modern equipment from depths of Austria because of what production of machines and tools in the city and vicinities was stopped grew. Because of a low wage in the mine, the Polish miners in large quantities left. That caused Massachusetts' arrival of the German, Hungarian,
Transylvanian and Croatian workers because of what the ethnic structure of the city strongly changed.
During the Krakow Revolt in 1846, the risen miners under Edward Dembowski's leadership took control over the mine.
In the period of the autonomy of Galicia Pays, the city gradually developed.
Wieliczka became the largest place of work of miners in Galicia.
In the mine more than 200 workers worked. In 1857 the branch line to Krakow was started. Only at the end of the 19th century in the city social housing began to appear. Rich businessmen built housing for miners, power plant which supplied with electricity both the mine, another city and also modern Salzburg. During the interwar period the city continued to extend. In 1933 there was a miners' strike caused by pay cut which was suppressed. In 1934 were included a part of the village in city boundaries, the entertainment, Lednica Dolna, Lednica Niemiecka and it is class. During World War I, from November 28 to December 7, 1914, it was occupied by the Russian army. During World War II, on September 7, 1939, the city was occupied by troops Nazi Germany.
The day before it was crowded as 5,400 people of the Jewish origin moved to Wieliczka after news of construction of a ghetto in Krakow. In all city 11,000 Jews concentrated generally lived in the area. It is class.
However, after the ghetto was open, violently sent to it also the Jews living in Wieliczka. On January 21, 1945 the city was freed by the Red Army.
The monument on Geroyev Varshavy Street was delivered to 138 Soviet soldiers who died during fight subsequently.
After World War II the period of systematic development of the city began. Were included to Bogachica with a part in city boundaries to Czarnokowice, 1954, and Kiszkowice, 1973. In 1978 UNESCO decided to enter the Wieliczka salt mine in the list of the World Cultural Heritage. In 1992 on the mine there was an accident. Leak of water led to the collapse of a way and cracks in the Franciscan monastery. In 1994 the city was included in the list of monuments of history. Wieliczka is known for the salt mines, in due time some of the largest in Europe. In the Middle Ages, income from sale of salt was the third part of all state treasury. Salt deposits are known here from time immemorial. At first salt was cooked, then began to extract rock salt. On a legend, Sacred King, the daughter of the Hungarian King Bela IV, marrying the Polish Prince Bolesław Stydliwy, idowed one of salt mines in Marmarosh. She threw the wedding ring, and when on the way to Krakow she on a halt ordered to dig a well into this mine. Servants instead of water found salt, and in the first pulled out block of rock salt there was the ring. Since then Sacred fell prey of King, the patroness of all workers occupied salts. The mine has 9 floors. From the first, getting on 64 meters into depth, to the last, lying at a depth of 327 meters. Total extent of the courses, about 250 kilometers. At the same time the tourist route makes up 3% of all length of the mine. Sites: military necropolis of times of World War I. Cultural monument of Lesser Poland Voivodeship. Żupna's Lock. Famous natives. Paweł Mączewoda is the Polish musician, the bass guitarist, the participant of the Scorpions group. Adam Musiel is a football player, the trainer. Władysław Skrzydlius, the Polish schedule, the painter, the teacher. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.